Bum ba dum bum 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 ba dum bum 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 bum. Bam! Oh yes, it's time. Hello and welcome back to another midnight showing. As always, I'm Kelly, and I just got out of Bond, James Bond, aka Spectre, the last supposedly of Daniel Craig's Bond films, and it's a real shame because I really did like him a lot. I mean, as a Bond, he worked just so well. I don't know what it was about him, and it's a real shame to actually see him go. For those who don't want a spoiler version of this, this movie was amazing. It was really, really good, but don't overhype it, or else you're gonna go in like me and be extraordinarily disappointed. Yeah, there's several factors in this. This is not a bad movie at all, and I do emphasize that point as strongly as I can. This is not a bad movie. It is a must see, and you must go in there and see it. But take it with a grain of salt. Take a step back, and don't go in there with these super amazing expectations, because this is not the best spy film that's come out this year. It really isn't. It's not even my top 10 best films I've seen this year so far. And that's actually kind of saying something disappointing. This year, I have stated in other videos, is the year of spy films. We've gotten a lot of damn good ones this year. Kingsman, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, which that one actually does come into play because I have to talk about that one in correlation to this one in a second. But this with this great lineup of spy films, this one is great. It's a great film. It goes right up there with the good spy films this year. But comparatively, it's not as good as some of them, like Rogue Nation. Yeah, that's not the only comparison I'm going to make it to it either. Rogue Nation was just a better film. That's not to say anything bad about this one. This is a great movie, and I'm not trying to dissuade you from seeing it at all. It is breathtaking. It's shot beautifully. It's acted just as well, and some of the action set pieces are really engaging. And not to mention the throwbacks to old previous Bond films. I think this movie even did those better than Skyfall did, and that's saying a lot, isn't it? So I don't want to make it sound like I hate this movie, because I don't. I'm gonna buy it the second it comes out on Blu-ray. But compared to other films I've seen this year, the bar was just set so goddamn high. And if there was anything that could knock that bar out of there, it's freaking Spectre, isn't it? It's the one movie. It's a James Bond movie. It's the James Bond movies that end all James Bond movies. Yeah, I kind of overhyped it for myself. And now I feel a little bit more like it's disappointing. To the point where in my head I'm kind of removing it off. I'm removing Man from U.N.C.L.E. off of the disappointed list and possibly thinking of replacing it with Spectre. Yeah. So yeah, I kind of ruined it for myself. This isn't a great film. Go see it immediately. If you take nothing else from this review, just take that. Take that this was worth seeing in theaters. So for those that want to stay for spoilers, the plot of this movie is literally Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. No, I'm serious. It is plot point for plot point Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. So there's a super secret organization called Spectre, and the other one, I can't remember what they were called inside Mission Impossible Rogue Nation now that I think about it. But yeah, super secret organization that's doing a lot of really, really bad things under the guise of total control to make the world better. And meanwhile, at home, you've got the entire 00 program under attack, being merged with MI5 and being completely disavowed, to use the term from Rogue Nation, because Yeah, it's literally just Rogue Nation. Plot point for plot point. What could set it apart from Rogue Nation is definitely the action scenes and the villains, right? Sadly, that was another one of the big disappointments of the movie. Alright, going into the positives, let's talk about the way the movie is shot, because, by God, this is one of the most beautiful films I've seen this year. Right up there with Crimson Peak is for creativity and just the wide shots that let us really sink in the atmosphere. When we're in close environments, there's a lot of really, really good close-up shots that give a kind of claustrophobic feel to it. This movie technically is completely 100% sound. And even beyond that, I even go as far as say is technically, this movie is way better than Mission Impossible. And that's saying a lot. And I do really emphasize this because it's just so well done. I mean, really, really well done. You know, a lot of people complained inside of the A-Team from a few years ago when they did the stupid barrel roll with the helicopter. Saying, that you can't do that. That's not possible. That's a stupid CGI effect. It was. You want to know what this movie did? It did barrel rolls with a real helicopter. While Bond and this guy are literally fighting each other in the middle of it. Every single time it flips, I'm like being potentially thrown out the back side of all the open doors because helicopters have open doors. And it's awesome. It is so amazingly awesome and well done. So, yeah, let's go on to some of the other good stuff about this film while we're on this trip. Some of the other things that were just amazing about this film. How about its connection to all its other films? Yeah, this movie is ingrained with all of the previous Daniel Craig movies. And that was one of the things that really did bug me about Skyfall, is that it had nothing to do with Quantum of Solace or Casino Royale. Literally, no plot points are mentioned. Nothing's ever brought up about it ever again. That means Silva. The way they said his name in the trailer, like Mr. Silva, it comes out as kind of like Mr. Silver. So you think, oh, he's one of the other members of. We can finally get an explanation of Quantum of Solace. Nope. Let's completely ignore that for the rest of the movie. He's just Silva. Okay. But that's actually a pretty good thing in the case of this movie. Because what does this movie do? It makes it so that all of Daniel Craig's adventures, everything that's happened, are all intertwined and interconnected. It feels like a true sequel. The continuity is there. They acknowledge all the other events. They talk about said events and how they end up going into this one. Kind of briefly, not as much detail as I wish they'd talk about it, but yeah. And I know I'm going to say something that's going to probably ruin my credentials as a reviewer, especially as a James Bond fan for a lot of people. I liked Quantum of Solace. Is it as good as Casino Royale? Fuck no. Is it as bad as Die Another Day? Hell no. The action's solid. The mystery of the quantum is actually pretty engaging. And I can honestly say that I thought that this chick was actually a pretty good Bond girl. The other girl who died inside of the oil thing is a kind of a homage to Goldfinger. I wish they hadn't done that, but it worked. Look. And one of the things that just bugged me about Skyfall is, yes, this had nothing to do with Skyfall. Absolutely not. Let's just ignore it, like, move on. This isn't the Pierce Brosnan age. This isn't the Robert Moore age. Come on, this is the new age of Bond films. Let's actually have some continuity. Let's have some consequences from other films come bite them back in the ass. Guess what? Things from this movie come to bite them back in the ass inside of Spectre. Yeah. Thank you. For God's sakes, thank you. They acknowledge all of them. They acknowledge Dominic Green. And guess what? My little theory about who Quantum actually was inside that film turned out to be right. They're a branch of Spectre. Everyone said that, they're just a dumbed down version of Spectre. You know what? It's a branch of Spectre. Thank you for acknowledging that I am smarter than the average fanboy inside of this genre. Thank you. And really, they do come back to bite them in the ass, especially the things that happen with Silva and Casino Royale more than Quantum of Solace. I'll admit that. But they do acknowledge that, like, the bombing of MI6 was important. Very, very important. So, what is the overall plot of the movie? Basically, James Bond is tracking Spectre thanks to a video left by Judi Dench, I think, previous M, who died in Skyfall, left by her that was delivered to his house the day after she died, saying, kill this man, be sure to go to his funeral. So he does. He goes to his funeral, and down the rabbit hole he goes, following a trail of breadcrumbs that basically leads him to Spectre. He literally drops him in one of their meetings, and they try to kill him for it. And they're all talking about having to kill a member called the Pale King, who turns out to be Mr. White from Quantum and Casino Royale. Yeah, it comes back into play pretty harshly. They acknowledge, they start going into details and just unraveling this thread. And this movie is just, I don't want to give everything away, because the way that the movie progresses after they find Mr. White and they get some answers out of him, honestly is, yeah, it's Mission Impossible Rogue Nation again, but it was an entertaining Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. It wasn't as mind-blowing, especially with some of the action pieces. One of the car chases in particular kind of looked, slow. Kind of like, hey, I'm driving this really expensive car at an obvious 25 miles an hour so we can do this shot. Don't notice. Yay! They did bring back the Bond car, which is another good thing. I thought, yes, they had one in Skyfall. They didn't really have one inside of Casino Royale, and from what I remember, they don't have one inside of Quantum of Solace either. But the one in Skyfall was clearly a homage to the original. God damn it, it was literally the Aston Martin from the original. With the guns and everything. And they get a newer model, and it's got some cool stuff too. But just like in Rogue Nation, some of the gadgets don't work. Yeah, a couple other things I noticed about that. But yeah, they bring back that, and the car chase was, but the gadgets were okay. They brought back the watch gadget. I won't tell you what it does because that's actually kind of a surprise later on. It's pretty simple, and you'll probably figure it out, but at the same time, they do bring it back, which was another welcomed addition. One of the things they kind of got rid of, though, was the palm reader gun from Skyfall, which I thought was a really, really great idea for a design. A gun that only James Bond can shoot. It's simple, but it makes sense. It keeps people from taking hold of his weapon. I kind of wish they had brought that back, personally. They added in the gadgets. They acknowledged that Q Branch is more than just giving you a little dinky thing, calling it a radio. They actually did bring back some gadgets. They brought in some clever hacking subplots. They brought in new bad guys, like the guy who's trying to take down the 00 agents and replace them with the new and improved super surveillance system by combining the efforts of Britain, France, Spain, some country in Africa, South America, United States, and Russia. They can make a global freaking surveillance system. Turns out that he's working for Spectre. Oh, what a shock! I guess that's what happened when you freaking cast Moriarty from Sherlock. Come on, who didn't call that guy was a bad guy? It would have been better if he hadn't been a bad guy. Like, he was legitimately doing this because he thought it was the right thing to do. But not because he sold out to fucking Spectre? Come on. The fact that Spectre was able to use his goodwill and his misguidedness to their own advantage, yeah, that would have been a much better storyline. But heaven forbid that we actually have a pro-surveillance system inside of a movie. Jesus, this is as bad as the drone message. Come on, guys. Yes, we get it. Most filmmakers don't like it. Can we please have more than one opinion make it into a film, please? Please? I mean, we only can do so much. Captain America 2 only had that guy who actually said, if you could shoot the guy who's going to shoot your daughter tomorrow, would you? You have that one moment inside of there. I mean, come on, just variety. Give us more than the stupid trends and popular opinions. You gotta give more than that. And that's one of the things I didn't like about the film, is that it felt paint by numbers. This is a very standard Bond film. It's a very well made, well acted standard, but plot point for plot point, it's your typical run of the mill Bond film, and with a storyline that mirrors that of Rogue Nation. Now, I'm not saying that they ripped them off. Either one ripped the other off. I'm just saying that maybe writers need to come up with better ideas. Really? 2 movies that were originally both scheduled to come out this November with this similar of plot? With Bond, they've been building Spectre up since the 60s. But with Mission Impossible? There's something there. I'm just saying. I wanted to draw attention to that, although I should probably move on. Let's go into the acting, which was great from everybody, especially Daniel Craig. I have to say, I love him as Bond. I really do. I didn't really care for any of the other Bonds. Pierce Brosnan was a pretty good Bond, even though his movies were just crap. GoldenEye was good. The rest were... 2 of them were... And then Die Another Day. Ugh. Oh God, Die Another Day. So, yeah, Pierce Brosnan, I don't think he was a bad Bond. I just think that he got shafted as far as the films that he was in. The other Bonds, I have a problem with watching older films, and I can't always connect with them. So, take that for what you will. But the acting from Daniel Craig especially, just, you can see the man that he is trying to be. He isn't... He's very robotic until he meets the Bond girl inside of this. Melina Swan, sorry. And I don't know the actress name. I don't. All I know is that a lot of the posters, she looks exactly like Emma Stone. Who knew? And she was fine. I liked her. She did have a more of a spunk to her, although by the end of it, she's just a freaking damsel in distress plot point. I didn't like that, but that's more of a writing problem. I'll talk about those in a minute. But the interaction between her and Daniel Craig make up probably the most interesting parts of this movie. Really, they do. Because they do play off each other very, very well. Especially in the action scene between the nameless silent grunt, who I'm not sure, but I think he was played by the same guy who played Drax in Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm not sure, and if you know for sure, please do correct me civilly inside of the comments, but I'm pretty sure it was the same person. Granted, He was great in it. All of his acting was completely body language. He says one word in the film, and that's just right before before James kills him. And what does he do? Shit. That's his only line in the movie. And it just comes off so good, especially when he's like having his little dick measuring contest between James and him. Like, oh, who's got this better? Just those little smirks and those little showing the size of his gun versus Bond's little PP7's pea shooter. I mean, you can tell so much about this character, and he only says one word in the movie. Testament to just how well acted this all is. Because, yeah, he's not the only one who gets very little to work with, but works very, very well. MQ, Moneypenny, and the bodyguard guy who's been on these films since all of them, I can't remember his name. They all did really great. I wish they had a little bit more to do, because they don't really do anything until the last third of the movie. Especially Moneypenny. She doesn't even pick up a gun. She doesn't even do anything. She was a field agent, for crying out loud. She can help. Let her help. But, yeah, they all were just great. Daniel Craig's definitely the standout here. Followed quite quickly by that assassin. He's just awesome. There's very few silent badasses out there, but this guy, he's definitely on that list. The weak link there comes from the villains. The two actors who played the villains. One, Christoph Waltz, is the head of Spectre. Now, don't get me wrong, he was great in this film. It's Christoph Waltz. I haven't seen a bad performance from him. Admittedly, I haven't seen this whole discography, but Django Unchained, Inglourious Bastards, Big Eyes, I haven't seen a bad performance from this guy. He's a very, very entertaining, very gripping, intimidating actor, and funny as hell. And when he's in the film, he's great. He's in the film for 3 scenes. 3. Count them. 3. First time he's introduced is at the said meeting that James crashes, and he's very subtly introduced. I mean, kept completely in shadow. You've seen part of this inside of the trailer, where he's just sitting there, and he's like, Hank, you're finally here? What a surprise. I'm surprised it took you so long. And he just looks right up at James Bond, who's hiding in a crowd. I mean, that's just the very tail end of the scene. Beforehand, I mean, he's got servants who are calling up people for him, and he's slightly whispering in their ears, always just covered in shadow, not saying a word. Very intimidating. Kind of cheesy 70s, 80s thing, but you know what? That's the origin of Bond. It works very, very, very well as establishing him. And after that scene, you don't see him for another 40 minutes. It's like 30 or 40 minutes before they finally get to him, when his remote base located in a desert. Oh. And again, kind of a cheesy setup, but they're in a very, very, very dark room, and he just comes walking right out of the shadows and says a couple of lines and has some banter back and forth with James, leading him around his establishment, showing them the source of the whole intelligence gathering system and all of his people, and even showing just how powerful he is with just a button press on his iPad. There's like literally 50 to 100 people at stations, computer stations, in this giant, massive hallway of computer monitors and televisions. They all just stand up, what they're doing, look, and reach with a button press. This is a very good, intimidating scene, showing just how powerful he is. With a button press, he's got 100 guys there who stop what they're doing immediately and just point guns at you. This is a very, very, very effective way of establishing him. he ends up torturing Bond. Not as... That torture scene inside this isn't as good as the one inside Casino Royale. But by God, you just like feel Daniel Craig's pain as it's happening. Just... it just hurts. It really does. And Bond escapes and blows up the facility and... Oh. He's dead. Okay. Bond goes back to try to stop the super system from going online and gives all the information he has to M and the rest of them so they can arrest the big bad guy and send him to jail, hopefully. And Christoph Waltz pops up again for the last section. 3 continuous scenes and he's gone. Compared to Silva from Skyfall, he had a damn good build-up introduction. And when you finally see him, he's very intimidating, and he shows you just how crazy he is by having Bond shoot this girl that he possibly might have raped. But then he gets captured. Oh. When you get that whole he let himself get captured cliche. But the whole time he's doing it, you can see this man is a very methodical, well planned out. He knew this was happening. This is what he wanted type scenario. And again, he's got a big influence and he does a very big grand plan. It's only stopped at the last second because of some really, really brave people, including the person who would later become M. Yeah. He's intimidating. After all of this, what does he do when they finally confront him again? He shows up again. He's only in 3 continuous scenes, but he shows up again with an army of people to take down 2. This guy, he doesn't know the meaning of overkill. And guess what? He was right to bring them because it still wasn't enough. He doesn't underestimate him. He's got a complete presence there the entire film. Comparing to Christoph Waltz, he's got a good build-up with that first scene that you introduce him, but afterwards, you're more concerned about Moriarty, who's the second bad guy, who's the other big problem as far as acting goes, who's just playing the same bit part that he played inside of Sherlock. He's just a couple less freakouts, which you're kind of underusing your actor here, guys. He's just playing the same bad guy. We spend more time with him taking down the 00 program than we ever do with Christoph Waltz, who shows up at the end just to torment Bond because he kidnapped his girlfriend, who's not his girlfriend, who actually tried to leave him, but Bond won't let her die in this rubble that's about to go kablooey. Again, it's kind of paint by numbers. We've seen this all before. And Christoph Waltz, damn, is he entertainingly good, but he's not in enough of the film for me to say that it's actually a plus. Instead, we're stuck with Moriarty and his wonderful acting as Moriarty. How many movies am I going to see this guy in playing this part? Or TV shows? Because it's just the same part he always plays. Come on, give me some variety. Give me more. And really, Moriarty hijacks this movie because, you know, they could have this entire 00 thing happen almost entirely off screen and just have it mentioned at the beginning, and it would have worked out just fine. Unlike now, whereas they keep cutting back to it while Bond is unraveling the mystery of Spectre, and we already know this. Skip it. Come on, get back to Bond. The more interesting story is sidelined because of this subplot with this guy, and he just has to be there so freaking much. Which leads into the big problem, which is the writing. This movie felt like it needed one more rewrite. It was almost the great film that we wanted it to be. Michelangelo was quoted as saying that he never actually carved sculptures. All he did was release the sculpture that's inside the stone. Nice little funny homage to this is inside of the Animaniacs, where they have Michelangelo, and he literally pounds a section of stone, and the casing on it basically shatters all the stone around it, and there's a statue there. It's kind of a funny joke, but that's basically this movie. Like, they had carved out the general shape and got all of the movements. They just needed to go over it one more time and get the in little details flaked out. You know, make that fingernail, when carving that finger, just a little more prominent in your statue. And the script just feels like it needed one more run through before they started filming with it. And that really is it. I mean, there's nothing else to really say about the film. It's a great movie, well acted, with great performances. It just needed a little bit more time in the script department. Just a little bit. So it's not a bad movie. My final verdict is a must-see. Go see it immediately. Go pay full price. You won't regret a single second of it. It's enjoyable, especially the opening scene with this just one tracking shot following a guy and just seeing where that leads for the next 10 minutes. It's really, really good, especially with the helicopter scene that I mentioned before that happens at the end of it. It's just, you're going to love the opening scene in this movie. So, yeah, my final verdict, go see it immediately. And that's it for me. Did you enjoy the video? Have you seen Spectre? Tell me what you thought about it in the comments below, and maybe we'll get some healthy discussion going. And if you liked what you see, be sure to hit the like button and share the video with your friends. If you like to see some more from me, you can go ahead and check out my channel. I'll have some links and stuff right up here. And if you want to see some of my more recent videos, I will have those linked right down there. And I have a Facebook page. Be sure to follow me on that. I also have a Twitch account where I'm currently doing another playthrough of Until Dawn with the intent of everybody survives. I've got about 3 hours into it. I've got another 3 hours to go. I'll probably do that within the next day or two. But follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/cardmaster9. That'll also be a link in the description below. And yeah, I guess I'll have to see you all next time.